As you trundle through Cyrodiil playing Oblivion, you will end up going to a bunch of different dungeons with varying themes, from caves to castles, old buildings, and even the Plane of Oblivion itself. Other than the Plane of Oblivion, there's another dungeon that is unique to Oblivion. It is the Ayleid Ruins. The Ayleid Ruins have a very cool, moist, and minimalist aesthetic when compared to the Plane of Oblivion that the hero Kvatch delves into, which look like a Hieronymus Bosch painting. Through playing the game, you get little tidbits of environmental storytelling and offhanded remarks that Cyrodiil used to be ruled by the Ayleid Empire of elves before the humans rebelled and took control of Cyrodiil from them. That these ruins were the last remnants of their civilization. When I was younger and played Oblivion, I just thought that the Ayleid was just the High Elves. We saw them in the game. Because the High Elves fit the description of the Ayleids so well, being so tall and having yellowish golden skin, and that Cyrodiil was just a High Elf dominated society that eventually became a human dominated society. The High Elves are distinctly from the Somerset Isles, and the Ayleids didn't just go away. They were wiped out by men. After going through enough of the ancient ruins of the Ayleids, I thought I would do a deep dive into the Ayleids. Who were they? What their culture was like? I assumed that because the Ayleid ruins were interestingly designed, and they had like a cool vibe to them, that they seemed like an advanced civilization, since they utilized the Ayleid wells, Great Welkin stones, and the Valar stones, and no one in the Third Era even really understands how they worked. In all of this, I thought the Ayleids would be an interesting civilization that would be mysterious but very cultured. I was thinking of Tolkien's rendition of elves. And once again, I was very wrong. The Ayleids were anything from being a chill and cultured civilization. So let's go on a lore deep dive to the beginning of the First Era and take a look at the Ayleids. Before going on this lore deep dive, it would mean a lot if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way to making more of these videos. Thank you. The Ayleids, or also known as the Heartland High Elves, or Wild Elves, are the ancient colonizers of Cyrodiil. They split from the High Elves of Somerset Isles during the Merithic era because Daedra worship had been outlawed in the Somerset Isles. As the Ayleids were the founding civilization of Cyrodiil, they also created what we would consider to be the Imperial City in Oblivion, as well as its most iconic structure, the White Gold Tower, which was an homage to the Adamantian Tower in High Rock. This is why the Imperial City's architecture is so different from the other cities. It's Ayleid, and the Empire has only made minor changes to the city. The Ayleids weren't just interested in Daedra, but also had a fascination with the plane of Aetherius as well. Specifically on how to harness the magical powers of Aetherius, which is explained in the book Magic from the Sky. The ancient Ayleids believed that Nirn was composed of 4 basic elements: earth, water, air, and light. And of these 4 elements, they believed the most sublime form of light was starlight. The stars are our links to the plane of Aetherius, the source of all magical power, and therefore light from the stars is the most potent and exalted of all magical powers. From time to time, fragments of Aetherius fall from the heavens. The people know these fragments as shooting stars, and from time to time such ethereal fragments are found on Nirn. The most common varieties are known as meteoric iron. This metal is prized by armorers and enchanters for its properties in the forging of enchanted weapons and armor. This meteoric iron is also the primary component in Ayleid wells, ancient enchanted artifacts found through Cyrodiil. Another rarer form of ethereal fragment is called meteoric glass. It is from such fragments that other Ayleid enchanted artifacts are crafted: Welkin stones and Varla stones. So the Ayleids would harness the meteorites for power. In Oblivion, you can use Welkin stones to completely recharge your magicka, and Varla stones to completely recharge your enchanted weapons. Be careful when you use them though, as there are only a finite amount of them in the game. Specifically, the Varla stones are really rare. Magic in the Sky also goes on to describe the Great Welkin stones. Great Welkin stones are exceptionally large pieces of enchanted meteoric glass. Scholars believe that at the heart of each ancient Ayleid city, a great Welkin stone was the source of the settlement's magical enchantments. It may be that these great stones were linked to the lesser stones, restoring and maintaining their power. In any case, research on these great Welkin stones is impossible, since all the known Ayleid ruins have been looted of their great stones, and no examples of these great stones are known to survive. So, it seems that the Ayleid cities had power sources and, to an extent, had unlimited free energy. The other crazy fact is that thousands of years into the future, and modern-day researchers can't figure out how any of this worked. After reading this, you might think that the Ayleids were an advanced society, especially for how long they existed. The author of Magic in the Sky tempers that idea with a general description of the Ayleid culture. Ayleid wells, Welkin stones, Varla stones, consider then these marvels of magical enchantment. Are we then to conclude that the Ayleids were a superior race and culture? Did they so exceed us in art and craft that they mock the feeble powers of Third Era wizards? Never. The Ayleids were powerful, yes, and cunning, but they were never good nor wise. And so they were struck down. Their works have passed from Nirn, save these rare and sparkling treasures. Their ancient cities are dark and empty, save for the grim revenants and restless spirits condemned forever to walk the halls, keeping their melancholy vigils over bones and dust. So beyond their interesting technology and architecture, the Ayleids were far from the Tolkien version of the elves that I was thinking of. Their sadism and cruelty seems to stem from their worship of Daedra, specifically that they really didn't distinguish between good Daedra or bad Daedra, or even from the Aedra. The Ayleids also worshipped Magnus, which makes sense since so much of their technology came from Aetherius, which is where Magnus and the Magna Gi reside. Specifically, the Ayleids' worship of the Daedra is where their cruelty is known for. In the ESO book Daedra Worship, the Ayleids, we are given a light account of what the Ayleids would do to their human slaves. As Ayleid culture flourished, drawing ever further from Alinor, in the last millennium of the Merithic era, Daedra worship took hold and spread among the Heartland High Elves. The Aedra were still widely revered, with probably a majority of the Ayleids continuing to pay them homage, but cults devoted to the various Daedric princes sprang up across Cyrodiil. Tolerated and then celebrated, unlike the Chimer, the Ayleids make no distinction between good and bad Daedra. Indeed, even some of the more heinous princes received mass veneration, especially when their worship was adopted and endorsed by Ayleid kings and aristocrats. Widespread Daedra worship among the Heartland High Elves was particularly ill news for the tribes of Nedic humans, who were then arriving in Tamriel. The Ayleids enslaved the immigrant tribes of men, at first occasionally, but then systematically. And the Nedic people found themselves subject to masters who in many cases worshipped the princes, including those who encouraged slavery, domination, and cruelty. Under the Ayleids, the human thralls found themselves the subject of such Daedra-inspired arts, quote-unquote, as flesh sculpture and gut gardening. In fact, the revulsion for Daedra worship that pervades most human cultures in Tamriel probably originated in this period. I'm kind of glad we don't get a visual representation for flesh sculpture and gut gardening. We are given an account of the flesh sculpturing, though, from another author from an ESO book, Master Work of the Inducer. Pliability of its material so vital and so obedient to my tools, it was a subject yearning for ascent to the ultimate purpose of its form. A vision of the shape and the method took me immediately, and I stilled the form. I stopped its sight and speech and stood it in the working space. I ordered the servants to stay bear witness to a perfect example and began the dedication rituals. And to it I sang and hummed and whispered. The cage of its heart gave assent and unfurled, with no splintering, no cracking, the life's rhythm persisting. I ordered fine silver chains, into each link I inscribed the 100 words for bliss. I wrapped the cage and trunk all around to best display the organ at work. Such joy it must have been that blood-made pleasure watched the work, guided my movements. A new inspiration came upon me, and fervidly I grasped the sight orbs between the implements. I blessed it with the wings of Welkind, gently grafted and obtained at great expense. I extended its blood pass, a delicate web within shining light. 8 stars for its crown, 8 rubies at its feet, splayed forearms reaching for Aetherius. It became real when I gave it the name. Messenger Beast Redeemed. Man, that's definitely some Hellraiser type stuff going on right there. Definitely flaying a guy alive and leaving his organs flayed but still alive while sculpting it sounds pretty horrible, and definitely not that of what you'd consider a normal and advanced society. And I have to say, I kind of get why Mankar Cameron thought Nirn was another Oblivion plane. The ancient history of Tamriel is something akin to a plane of Oblivion, just with no immortality, which kind of makes it a lot worse. You know, if you do this to a Daedra, they just die and then are eventually regrown, basically, in Oblivion. But this is for reals. The reference to blood made pleasure is to the Daedric prince Sanguine, who is the Daedric prince of lust and perversity. So we get to know that not only was this sort of a religious event, it seems like there was sort of a sexual, violent pathology to it as well, something akin to Saw or something like that. I don't know. The Ayleids took this out to an even darker offshoot. The humans of Cyrodiil at the time were systematically enslaved by the Ayleids. They were treated poorly in a multitude of ways, as described in the Adabala, where the Ayleids herded in men from across all the Niben, Kothri, Need, Algaman, men of Kreth, though these were later known to be imported from the north, Keptu, men of Gi, who were eventually destroyed when the Flower King Nilichi made great sacrifice to an insect god named, and this is lost, all-haired, men of Ket, others, but this was Sirad, the heart of the Imperium Selachi, where men knew no freedom even to keep family or choice of name except in secret, and so their alien masters of all these designations were irrelevant. Men were given over to the lifting of stones, and the draining of fields, and the upkeep of temple and road, or to become art torturers for strange pleasures, as in the wailing wheels of Vindasel and the gut gardens of Sekrin, and the flesh sculpture, which was everywhere among the slaves of the Ayleids in those days, or worse, the realms of the Fire King Hadul, where the begetting of drugs drawn from the mixture of Daedrons into living hosts let one inhale new visions of torment, and children were set aflame for nighttime tiger sport. There's a whole lot of stuff in there that is sort of crazy to even think about, like the fact they just would light children on fire, and the fact that they just wiped out an entire tribe of men just to appease some weird insect god that we don't even know. It's definitely very heinous, and something that I was not expecting to uncover doing this deep dive. I think it's safe to say from these accounts it is a good thing that the Ayleids are no longer around. They were sadistic and cruel to others. Knowing this definitely colors exploring the ruins of the Ayleid cities very differently. They no longer seem as chill now that I know flesh sculpting and gut gardening took place there. And there's one quest in Oblivion where you collect Ayleid artifacts for a rich collector, Umbacano.
I am looking for the complete set of 10 for my collection. They were once part of the Temple of the Ancestors in the ancient Ayleid capital. Through my research, I have learned that they were removed from the temple before its sack by men. I believe they were hidden in various Ayleid settlements across Cyrodiil, although I do not know the exact location of any of them. Why, have you already found another statue for me?
And that's what started this original idea of doing a deep dive on Ayleids, because, hey, if I'm collecting all these treasures, might as well know who made all these treasures.
To be quite resourceful. I have another task which should interest someone of your particular talents. You have proven yourself more than a simple grave robber. I believe you can handle a more complicated assignment. Are you interested? Excellent. Here, take a look at this sketch. The ancient text referred to this site only as the High Fane. Do you know it? I'm not surprised. I have not been able to find any modern reference to it. Still, the architectural detail is distinctive enough. It may still be recognizable. The High Fane dates from the late Ayleid period, following the fall of White Gold Tower, a very troubled time for that ancient people. A time I find most fascinating. The drawing on the bottom of the page I gave you depicts a carved panel from the central chamber of the High Fane. I believe this carving will shed new light on Ayleid history. If I am able to examine it closely, I would like you to retrieve it for me. You will need this as well. It is the key to the inner chamber of the High Fane. I part with it reluctantly, so guard it well. It is what began my search for the High Fane many years ago. Your first task is to locate the ruins of the High Fane. I believe it must now be known by a different name. Wonderful! You are indeed a treasure hunter of exceptional talents. Here is your reward as promised. Normally, I would give you a chance to celebrate your success, but I do have another task for you, if you are interested. A rather urgent one. This is not quite in your usual line of work, but I hope you can help me just the same. A rival collector has an item which I very much want to add to my collection, but she stubbornly refuses to consider any of my offers. She and I have had our differences over the years, I admit. Now she is taking this opportunity to get her revenge. I believe that you may be able to persuade her to part with the item, where I cannot due to her prejudice against me. Are you interested?
Only one who knows I have it. He's tried to get it from me for years. I will never allow the crown to fall into Umbacano's hands. He is far more dangerous than you realize. Far from it. His interest in the Ayleids is not that of a mere scholar. He hopes to unlock the secrets of their magical power. And if you know anything about Ayleid-ruled Cyrodiil, that should make you very uneasy. I'm afraid I don't know for sure. I wish I had a more persuasive answer, but hear me out. The crown of the Ayleids which Umbacano wants is not simply an ancient work of art. It has certain superficial magic powers, true, but its real power is hidden. However, my studies of the ancient text make clear that it is the key to dangerous magical powers which should be left dormant.
Have you brought me the crown of the Ayleids? Ah, magnificent! This is my greatest prize yet. To think that I hold the very crown that once graced the brow of the last Ayleid king. Even to gaze upon it would have been death to any one of the lesser races in the old days. I thank you again for your efforts. I have one final task for you, if you are still willing to face danger on my behalf. In order to bring my research on the last king of the Ayleids to its final stage, I need to go to the throne room of Nenalata. While I am not without means of defending myself, I believe you would be an invaluable companion on such an expedition. Your reward will be whatever plunder you wish to carry off from Nenalata. Since the throne room has been sealed since the time of the Ayleids, it should provide rich pickings. Very well. 3 days, then. Don't be late.
I'm also very happy that either through trickery or brute strength, the hero of Kvatch kills Umbacano before he can become the Ayleid king and restart the Ayleid Empire. That is definitely a good thing. I don't think even the elves, it seems like, at least the average elf, not counting Umbacano, is happy that the Ayleids are no longer around. They sound like a very vicious and evil civilization. I also originally thought the empire we see in Oblivion was supposed to be the ancient Roman Empire, but looking at the cruelty of the Ayleids and their almost unlimited pantheon of gods, it would seem that the Ayleids are the ancient Romans, and the empire we see in Oblivion is closer to the Holy Roman Empire that subsumes the ancient Roman Empire, because it becomes Christian, sort of the term lambs to lions, because, man, it sounds like humans were very well tortured during the Ayleid period, which is similar to how Romans in real life treated Christians. Of course, this is only part one of the story of the Ayleid Empire. Now that we have established the Ayleids, we can do a deep dive into Saint Alessia, the Sacred Bull, and Pelinal Whitestreak, and the fall of the Ayleid Empire. Thanks for listening to my lore deep dive on the Ayleid Empire. It would mean a lot if you would like and subscribe to the channel and consider supporting me on Patreon. It goes a long way to helping me make more of these videos. Thank you.